But then we have the story of Josiah. And Josiah it's one of my favorite stories in the Tanakh. He's this young boy king. And we were looking at this because we're doing a teaching soon on, I'll just tell people, it's on the Christmas tree. So we're looking at all the verses that talk about Asherah, right? There's this Asherah tree or pole in the Tanakh, and it's called a tree in some places. It's a tree that was planted or set up next to the altar, originally of Baal, but then of Yehovah. In 2 Kings 23:6, it says, and he brought out the Asherah from the house of Yehovah, meaning, and that's the name in the Bible of temple, right? It doesn't use the word temple, that's a later term. It calls it the Beit Yehovah. They brought out the Asherah from the house of Yehovah in the time of Josiah. And what blows my mind about this story is Josiah is this king who at a very young age, he has this burning love for Yehovah and worshiping him. And so he gathers silver, resources, money, right? The word in Hebrew is kesef, which is literally silver. It also means money. But so he gathers money and he gives it over to the service of the temple to repair the temple. But he doesn't know that having an Asherah in the house of Yehovah is forbidden. He has no inkling. He's probably thinking, there's this tree in the house of Yehovah, we have to beautify it with silver and gold and clean up the debris around it so people can come worship Yehovah with this Asherah tree. He doesn't know. He's an 18-year-old boy, and for decades, people have been serving and worshiping in a false worship. And then what happens is, because he puts the resources out there and trusts in Yehovah, they're repairing the temple and they find the Torah. They find this scroll and he's brought this scroll and they say, I found this. Man named Hilkiah says, we found this scroll. It wasn't him. It was Hilkiah the high priest who brings it to the representative Josiah, and then they read it to him. And he says, actually the first thing he does is he tears his clothes because he realizes I had the desire to worship Yehovah, but there was information that we were missing. I didn't know idolatry was forbidden. I didn't know it was forbidden to have an Asherah in the house of Yehovah. And so he tears his clothes, which in ancient Israel is an act of mourning. And I have the burning desire of Josiah to serve Yehovah. And I know there's people out there who have the burning desire of Josiah to serve Yehovah, and they don't know what to do. They're not Hilkiah. Hilkiah himself didn't know what to do until they found this scroll in the temple. Well, today we have access to these scrolls. Today we have access to manuscripts that 100 years ago, not 100 years ago, 20 years ago, the top professors in the world dreamed of having access to manuscripts that I've held in my hands. That Yehovah has given us this opportunity to share truth, and it takes resources. It absolutely does. We're about to fly to Israel and then to Germany to speak at academic conferences that I was invited to speak at. And this is an opportunity to change the world, to uncover truth